they need to be working now harder than they ever were to protect their business when they do open.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Masters in Fitness Business Podcast, where you get to stand on the shoulders of giants. Is brought to you by the Association of Fitness Studios and Succeed Fitness Business Conference. And today we're bringing you a giant from Melbourne, Florida. Man needs no introduction, 40 years in business, several books on the fitness and in the fitness business, several books written on the fitness business, thousands of workshops, speaker school, mastermind, fitness business school, social media workshops. He's been running the National Fitness Business Alliance for years. Now he's associated with Perform Better. I mean, he's an icon in the industry. Thomas Plummer. Thomas, welcome to the show again.
Thanks. Thank you. It's sad that we have so much to talk about in the last couple of weeks. I would much rather just see you a couple times a year and have some beers, but I think the subjects at hand are kind of warning it, that's us hanging out a little more together. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity today. Greatly appreciated.
No, I appreciate you coming on and giving the listeners the information that you have, giving your insight, because like we've said several times, nobody has a playbook on this. This is unprecedented. But I think it has changed the fitness industry forever. I mean, going forward. So what we're here to talk about today is what's next. What's, who's going to survive? How are you going to survive? And what the landscape is going to look like once we do start to reopen is what we're talking about. So I know you said you sent out that letter to everyone. And it was pretty detailed and pretty succinct in everything that you said. So in that, you said 30% of the gyms won't make it out of this. So if that goes to June 1st, which it looks like it is, as you said a month ago that it would, does that 30% hold up?
That's, that letter, that's probably gotten more traction. That was the sixth in the series. And I even got a note from Paris today that one of my clients over there was reading it and says it's just as crazy there as it is anywhere else in the world. And so I've been talking about that subject for nonstop without breath for probably 3 weeks now. So the 30%, this is a day by day situation. Again, thanks for the opportunity. We get to talk about this often. I do appreciate that. So what's changed in the last few days is now they're making noise that this might open sooner. But sooner for most of us is going to be June 1st. I think for the bulk of us, it's still going to be July 1st that we're fully open. So that said, I'm predicting about 30% of the gyms in the country will not reopen. I believe Gold's yesterday just shut down 30 corporate gyms permanently. So it's already started. It's out there. There's people that have gone away quietly. So we don't know the numbers yet of the closures. I think the chains are going to be hit harder than our training friends. If you think about it, if I have a $100,000 a month expense, it takes me about 60% of that to sit dark. So even I'm not in business, I might save my payroll, but if I'm closed for 60 to 90 days and I have 30 corporate clubs, that's going to cost me, millions to stay open. So as they come out of this, it's going to be pretty traumatic for them. So for us, the training gyms, I think we can mitigate some of that. I do think the people that will get hurt, you have to think of closures in two waves. It's going to be who closes between now and let's say June 1st or July 1st. And then the second wave of who closes the first 90 days. That's something I want to talk about today that was in the letter is the usage rate and what that means to this, to the gyms. But just because you open, the first 90 days are going to be more traumatic than most people believe. I think we can mitigate that. We can keep that 30% in the training world smaller, but they need to be working now harder than they ever were to protect their business when they do open. So, and I think that's on your list today that we're going to talk about the phases. But so overall, summary on that first point is I'd hate to be a chain gym. I'd hate to have 100 gyms with managers, not even owners on site. Some of the major companies like such as ABC Financial cut off the billing to a lot of these guys. So all your contracts are basically gone. So how'd you like to have 100 facilities costing you 60% of your operational costs sitting dark, and you're going to try to restart these with managers, and maybe a third of your members come back. But training gyms, it's our time to shine if we're ready to attack. And that's really what I've been advocating and telling guys over and over again: go hard, go fast, stop sitting at home. Yeah, I know you're playing with your kids. I know this is really cool to drink at noon. I know all this is good stuff, but we've got to go to work if we're going to win this. And now's the time.
Yeah, I agree. And I just found out today that they're out of funding on the PPP and the EIDL loans. They're no longer accepting applications. So like some of the smaller players, and I know on the PPP loans, they're going by number of employees as far as how they're handing out that cash. So the training gyms usually have just a handful of employees, so they'll be last in line on that list. So does that affect that 30%, you think?
This is where I'm frustrated, and if I come across to our listeners today as frustrated, it's because it's been a nasty 3 weeks talking to guys. A couple of letters go in that series. Again, that was the sixth. I talked about, it's time to go. If there's stuff like the PPP, once it appeared, go fast. And I've gotten a number of emails just in the last 24 hours from guys getting the checks in. They've gotten the money. They were part of that initial surge because they were first at the queue. They went hard. So that's what I'm saying is about being proactive. If you waited and hesitated on that, and now that it's not funded, well, it will be funded again. Somewhere the politicians will figure out, is it 250 billion or is it going to be 400 billion, and they're going to fund hospitals and all this. Somewhere they'll make that compromise, probably by Monday, would I guess, or they're all going to be suffering for that. I mean, we all hate them all anyway. It just gives us more reason to hate them.
Right.
So that'll be solved. So, but again, once this reopened, then within 24 hours, apply. Because yes, we're smaller, but again, if I got a $10,000 or $15,000 check from that does not have to be repaid if it's applied correctly, that could make or break a small training gym. So it is complacent. It's really the weird thing. The owners that will survive and the owners won't are really the ones that move fast. It's no longer the big eat the small. That's where business was for decades. Now it's the fast eat the slow. And and a lot of our friends in the training industry, they won't go fast enough. They don't react quick enough. They don't take control of this. Many of them have that conversation with themselves where I'll do this at the bank, but I won't qualify. But if I talk to my banker, I'm sure he's busy. They have both sides of the conversation, and you already lose that. Your negative always outshines your positive. So you just, every time you do that in your head, you just end up losing to yourself. You don't even go. Just go. If the answer is no, we'll work with that. Ask the landlord if we can have some breaks. If the landlord says no, then we react. Don't have the conversation in your head. The guys that go slower are those guys that talk themselves out of it by anticipating what they think is going to happen instead of reacting what does happen.
Yeah, so you have to stay updated on the latest information and act without hesitation.
Exactly.
If you're not only going to survive this, but thrive. So let's get into that. The smaller players are going to be in prime position for so many reasons. Because of the social distancing guidelines and the phases where they're going to open up, and the bigger box gyms are going to be hit really, really hard. You think any of those big box clients fit into that training, into the demographic of that training model, or is it just they're not the training gym's cup of tea?
They have their own issues to solve when they reopen. Their social distancing issues, if there would be some restrictions, are going to be almost impossible. Can you imagine telling a 30,000 foot chain gym that they should take out every other treadmill and put it in storage? Should they, one of the things I'm recommending, which is a small thing, but it's enormous to the client, is if you have a bunch of Selectors equipment. So I've got hundreds and hundreds of clients still that are in the mainstream business. I'm telling them, take a tape measure and do 8-foot centers. The center of the seat on this equipment, if I do a 8-foot radius around that, I shouldn't be able to touch another seat. So how are these guys, these old Gold's gyms and these old box gyms, how are they can the owner mentally go in there and start to throw out a third of his equipment because he needs to distance it? You know, there's a way forward. Do they want to go forward? And I don't think the chains are that aggressive. I was talking to an old friend yesterday, Mike Grondel, the guy that was the creative genius behind Planet Fitness. He was the guy that founded the company. And
most loved and hated man in the industry.
He should be respected. He's a lost legend.
Yeah.
He's every bit as brilliant as Arthur Jones and all these guys we give credit for starting the industry. He's kind of a hidden legend. I'm sad that he's gotten lost in the process, but I call him once in a while just to, like, you know, what's his take on stuff? What's he think? What's going on with those type of things? And he's looking at the investment capital aspect of the change are what will hurt most of them, because they have the money to kind of sit it out, but they don't believe that the training gym has an impact. They don't believe that what we do normally is what they should have added to their systems years ago. They think it's going to be business as usual when they open, but the venture capital money in the last couple of years has been so soft that segment's overbuilt. I think we talked about that for a couple of minutes in the last show I did of yours, where that money's they're growing because they have money, not because of their demand from the client. So you see the VC guys coming in, and in companies like Planet Fitness, where they're scooping up. I mean, a couple of groups in there, I believe, have 100 units now. You know, how do you restart 100 of those units when you have some of them no contracts, and you have young managers and no sales system? You know, that's an enormous task to redo, but the VC guys are their own worst enemies. So is there any chains out there? There are a bunch of independents that have a training component. A lot of my clients have listened over the years. 40 to 50% of their business is training, even in the mainstream boxes, and they fight and they have a chance. They will come back. But if you've got 5% national average, 5 to 6% of your clients in training, you know, 94% are simple memberships and the contract dissolved, I don't think I'd want to own that Monday.
No, because I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that it's not going to be business as normal. It's going to be the new normal. And that doesn't, and, you know, with the social distancing guidelines and the awareness of the biological impact of other people around you is definitely going to have an impact on them. So let's talk about the training gyms, the smaller players. What opportunities are there out there for them? And how do they prepare themselves now to take advantage of that?
Well, I like, if we have time today, to talk about the 3 phases that I think have to happen. Mm-hmm. So your question here applies very well to the first phase, but the thing we have to understand is the consumer is going to change. Some of the consumers will be brain dead. They'll come back. You know, that 26-year-old kid that stood naked on the beach partying for his whole life, you know, I can't catch any of this stuff. You know, he's going to do team training and he doesn't care. But the other client coming back, we have to now, while we're closed, phase 1, what we have to do is, okay, we have to envision the gym differently than we've ever owned or managed the gym. The gym it's not going to be the same as the consumer's head. They're going to expect an immense amount of differentiation when they come back. The word that you have to get in your head, this is so esoteric for a lot of owners, is the word trust. It's not going to come down to workouts. It's not going to come down to that. It's going to come down to, do I trust you to keep me safe in this gym? So think about it. Yeah, one of the stupid things I'm using is, if I walk up to your gym, how do I get in the front door? How does that door open? So you're telling me after a virus that's, you know, that threatens, our clients are over 40. A lot of them, you know, are pretty active and healthy, but still, we got a lot of people in their 50s and 60s. I walk up there, I'm a target for the virus. How do I open your damn door? So I grab it, open the door, or am I smart enough to, if I can, to get it wired for an automatic opening while I'm closed? So I've got 6 weeks to put a door opener on the thing. Well, that's so boring, except it's one of the best social media videos you could send out, that, you don't even have to touch the door anymore. If I can't change the door, am I smart enough to put a sanitizer stand right inside the door? So every surface in the gym has to be absolutely nothing stacked on it, nothing ever again. Your front counter, if you still get a juice bar, that's got to be spotless, no boxes, nothing stacked on it. Where I check people in, it's got to look like an operating table in a hospital. I'm telling everybody to paint every wall, because fresh paint equates to cleanliness in the consumer's head. Just cleaning these gyms out, just getting away anything sitting in the corners. Most gym owners are really hoarders, secret hoarders. If you go to gyms, you walk in and I've got a pile of testing stuff from FMS in this corner. I've got a bunch of old medicine balls and stuff I use once in a while here. Here's the stuff in this corner I use with my kids when they come in on Friday for team training. And the client walks in and goes, "This place is a hellhole. It's dirty. Clutter is dirt." So how do I envision that going forward? And then how do I control the environment to keep the client safe? So while we're closed, we have to visualize what the workouts are going to be when we open. Well, team training, I've got one guy, Sean Seitz. He's been on your show before, but one of the better owners in the country, I believe. Yep. I'm talking to Sean. I said, "What's the chances of you ordering 40,000 latex gloves?" And he's like, "I can get those from Home Depot," his old occupation. I said, "I'd get them and put them in all 5 of his clubs. I want team guys to come in, put the gloves on. I want them to then work out with the gloves. And then when they're done, a special station that has a big display showing you how to safely roll the gloves down, and then a hand sanitizer." Is that necessary? It's an overkill, but what a great visual. What a great visual. And how many people will use that? I'd use that all the time. At least for the first 90 days until we're through that state when we open that. But if you think about that, that's a cheap investment for people to do, where you come in and you just put those gloves on, you do your workout. And I'm staying away from everybody. I don't touch anything that anybody's touched, roll them off, sanitize, go to the automatic door. I'm safe, man. So how can the team guys, you're going to have to cut your ratios down by probably half. So do you have enough equipment? Do you have the right equipment? Do I have equipment where somebody can grab their own little equipment pile and not share it with people? So the pod system I've been talking about for years, you've been through all that. The pod system makes more sense than ever, because the guy comes in, he has his own space, or my 4 people do. They put their gloves on. They don't share equipment with anybody. Nobody's going to want to share equipment the first 90 days you're open. Nobody's going to want to walk through a gym and have to, wait for a guy to sweat down, on some bench or something. Nobody's going to want to do that. So while we're closed, what's this going to look like when you're open? So if I've got 6 treads, I've got to keep the treads from center of mass on one to center of mass, meaning the client walking on the treadmill. I've got to keep those 8 feet apart in my head, not 6, 8 feet apart. So I've got to reconfigure all my cardio to keep it a safe zone. But if it's 6 is safe, I'm going to go to 8, because I want to create the illusion that we're farther down the line. How do I get in and out of your bathrooms in your gym? If I've got to touch a door going in, then there should be hand sanitizer when I step in the door, because I want to sanitize before I go to the bathroom. And then when I'm done, I want some really high-end soap products, and I want the hand sanitizer. But how do I open the door from the inside? So there's got to be now a place for paper towels there, that I can pull one down and open the door with the paper towel, and then wad it and throw it in the garbage can. But if you don't start thinking that stuff through, that's the stuff that the client's going to want to see. Do I trust you? Do I trust you to do this? So there's a lot of work we have to do to get ready to open the gym. But the gym, as you said a while ago, and I thought that was very important, is the gym business is not going to be the same ever again. And we may, within a year, get back to normal, but there's supposed to be a second wave of this coming through in the fall. That could or could not happen. We pray that it doesn't, but I want to create a gym where I'm ready for anything that comes. So I have to control the environment and create trust, and then use the time that we're closed to create videos of all the things I'm doing to regain that trust with the client. But you imagine somebody wanting to walk into a small Orange Theory, 1,800 square feet, 30 people in there. They're all standing. The treadmills touch. All the equipment touches most of the time, or it's inches apart. I'm running as hard as I can, sweat's flying off, and I can reach out with my elbow, and elbow to elbow, we can touch the person on the next tread. How do you control that environment? Well, they're going to have to figure out a way, or they're going to get dumped hard when they open. Yeah. So that's just the things that I could rant on this. There's hundreds of things, but think about what your gym's going to be when you open. How do I get the client trust, and why? I can't sit on my ass now. I need to be promoting everything I'm doing. I need to order stuff because we still got 30 days out. If the glove idea is a good idea, it's an overkill. You know what? Order 10,000 of these gloves and get on with it. If I need pole sanitizers, the base poles that stand up about 4 feet, if I need 6, order 10 of them. And you have to just go mad in the gym to make sure that this is the safest gym ever. Every piece of crap you're just emotionally attached to, take it out of the gym. Strip this gym down to bare walls, bare counters, and cleanliness, and we can add stuff back in over time if we need to.
Yeah, I like all of that because that needs to be your focus, because that's the focus of your clients and potential new clients as well, is that trust, safety, sanitation, all of that. So with the latex gloves, the Clorox wipes, the antiseptic sprays, you name it. Even to the point of maybe hiring a full-time porter to go around and sanitize the equipment after each session, so you don't have to, so the trainers don't have to waste time doing that. I appreciate all of that. But you were saying that there might be a second wave in the fall. So with that in mind, trying to bulletproof your business as much as you can against another COVID-19 shutdown, what do you do with the online services that you've built out for COVID-19? Do you keep those going? Is that its own separate membership? Is it an add-on? What are your thoughts on that?
That's one of the most frequent questions I'm getting now is all these guys are getting, actually, some of them are getting good at this on social media. Some of them are finding an audience for it. But is it an audience that will always be there, or is it an audience gathered because of desperation? And if it's the same problem you have when this goes away, that the people come out. Right now I'm like, I would love this afternoon to go to my favorite cafe, sit outside, have a beer, watch people go by. It's kind of a really nice mall area, outside mall, and just sit there and just with my family and hang out for the afternoon. And just, man, it's one of those things. I'm not that social of a person when I'm home, but I miss that part, being out. Mm-hmm. And people at home, it's why the Peloton cycle is a perfect example. Oh my God, it's going to crush us. But they said that about the first bright yellow or funny blue life cycle. Most of our guys are too young. They don't remember how many times we're going to be crushed. We even laughed, I think, the last call about the Bowflex. Oh my God, that's going to crush it. The home gym, Chuck Norris doing that up there. Oh man, most popular infomercial in the history of television is that Chuck Norris going up and down, on that thing. And you know what? It didn't crush us. It didn't put us down. There's something about working out at home that there is a certain mentality that does that, but it's a small percentage. And this is the hardest thing to teach the training guys. We're beyond workouts. That was 5 years ago. Workouts were a very important 5, 8, 9 years ago. When you were a good trainer not too many years ago, you had a real edge. That's why Cosgrove, I think, was so successful. He was a good trainer before there were good trainers. Mm-hmm. That's what Boyle rose. They were master trainers before there was a time to do that. And now we're into this type where everybody's a good trainer. So training is not an edge. It comes back to the delivery system. And it comes back to the social needs of the animal. And it's a community. If nothing else, when you go forward, you have to think of your gym as community-based. So the stuff you should be keeping online, daily nutrition tips, say 10 o'clock in the morning, a 2 to 3 minute video every single day, that should go out. I still like the owners. The better owners now are doing 3, 4, 5 videos a week, 2 to 3 minutes, updating the clients. We can probably cut that back to 1. The videos I've talked a while ago, by the way, the sanitation videos and all that, when you paint your gym, there's a couple of videos out of that. Those should go to the whole community, not just your clients. Those should go within 10 miles of your gym, because I want everybody to know, because members are going to be looking for gyms come when we open. We'll get to that, but they're going to be there. So that getting the online presence is powerful, but it has to step back and start to support the gym, support the clients. It's not going to replace the gym. And that's something I think we have to really spend some time with. That we're not going to let that. I don't want the trainers to go, oh my God. And most guys are finding this online stuff is a lot harder than actually running a gym.
It's just as much work. I'm finding it's just as much work as running a brick and mortar.
Yeah, so you're the consumer, but when they come out of the house, the thing we forget about is they're not going to be sitting at home. As soon as we launch, they're gone. So who are you going to be doing online to? The guy's not at home anymore. That's such an obvious duh moment, but that's just not there. So nutrition support, you got to think of the gym as total 360. You got to think of it as, okay, I should be doing restoration. I could do a restoration 3-minute to 5-minute video of stuff you can do at home, a 5-minute workout. Well, that goes out Monday. That goes out for 7 days at $3 to $5 a day. I want to be the restoration. Well, I want my clients to see that, but I want the community to see that. Mind Body, where we do meditation hits. There's a couple guys, Johnny Gillespie is a trainer out there, is doing a lot of meditation. Here's a guy doing this, that's sending out meditation tips. So each week, do I have a small meditation video to go out? Recipes are still really a good thing to send out. So the recipe of the week with video, Colin McGarty used to do a great job of those stuff. So that's the type of stuff I want to take the online presence I've established, but now shift it over to support the clients, because they're no longer sitting there. Now they're back in the gym. So now I have to support the structure, but now's my chance to use this and reinvent myself and move this beyond the circle, move it beyond training into, I'm going to mess with your food more. I'm going to mess with your mind body. I'm going to mess with your restoration and stretching and stuff that you can do at home. I'm going to build a full circle around the client that he can't go anywhere else but my gym to get that. And that's how we, I think, need to use it going forward.
Okay. I like that quite a bit. So it's more of a supportive kind of something running in the background to support people coming into the gym, and
7 days a week though. It's got to be 7 days a week. Yep.
And client, and it also feeds into client retention and client acquisition as well. So let's get into the phases. What do they look like? What should you be focusing on? What do you need to start doing to prepare for that? All of that good stuff.
Well, there's a center pivot point. I hate to use that word, it's so overused right now, but there's a center pivot where the prep work, everybody's going to know what date you're going to open. That's not going to be a surprise. We're either going to have a 30-day or 2-week notice and the limitations. And then you have to think of it, that's the pivot point, that's the middle point, and then the first 30 days or 90 days that you are open. So I've got to break this down into time left between now and 2 weeks out, 2 weeks out, and then the first 90 days.
Okay.
So we've kind of beat that first phase of stuff they need to be doing while they're closed. Some things to add there quickly before we get into the most important, which is the 2 weeks, is go back to your bank, restructure all your loans, see if you can do a loan where you take all your credit card debt and everything, restructure that over 5 to 10 years. Banks are in the mood to do that now. Beat your landlords to death on trying to get 1, 2, 3 months. Again, don't have the conversation in your head where you think you know what your landlord's going to say. Ask, then react. Don't play both sides of the conversation, and be creative. Look, give me 2 months now. Move my lease back 2 months. I'm not going to stiff you for that. Just stretch my lease out 2 months. Hey, I've got 3 years on my lease. Give me 2 months to breathe now and take those payments and amortize them over the next 3 years. I'm not going to stiff you, Mr. Landlord, but I need help now. Push. Own your business. Act like you own the damn business. Push and really chase this. So all that prep needs to go. I would highly recommend, if anybody has the ability while they're closed, is friend, relative, somebody that's got a little money left after all the nastiness in the world, is to try to get a $50,000 5-year note with a friend or family and have that as your reserve capital for the first 90 days you're open. I'll come back to why that's important, but we need to do that while we're closed. then to me, moving into the 2 weeks, this is where I'm anticipating everybody's going to stumble. This is going to make or break your gym. So let's assume you've got 2 weeks out from opening date. You may have 30 days. I'm just going to use, for sake of example, 2 weeks in our little talk today. So 2 weeks out. Okay, so I need to call every single client and give them a status update on when I'm opening and what I've done in the club. And I want to have a personal conversation, not text. I will send it out with a support email. Then I'm also going to send an honest to God stamp on a snail mail letter to the clients updating them, because I want to overkill this. So every client, now, if you've done your pre-stuff, phase 1, so if you've done all that work, they should have had a video every week of you painting the gym, a video every week of you fixing the bathrooms, hand sanitizer. Hey guys, I know this is not the equipment you want in the gym, but I just got 30,000 gloves. You know, that's a video, what we're going to do, the hand station, all those type of things. All that would be very important to go in the 2 weeks. Now, second wave in the 2 weeks, I talk to my clients first. I reach out to every former client going back to 2018, go back to January of 2018, that far back, every client, send them a snail mail letter telling them what you've done. You're still here. The gym has been approved. It's the safest gym in the area. Here's what I've done, some links to the videos, and bring this letter in. It's good for 30 days. These guys are going to be hurt. They're going to be looking for gyms because their gym has a 30% chance of closing. So I'm going to pound those guys to death. I need to get those guys back in. So I'm chasing that client. The third one is everybody you've missed going back to January of 2019, any trial that's never shown up or didn't sign up, everybody that came through the gym, I'm assuming they're getting thrown out of their gym too. So I need letters ready for them, already hand addressed, stamped. I need emails ready to go out. I need to blast them to death. You need to do that in phase 1, but phase 2, I don't think. Then also during phase 2, I launched my first marketing. 2 weeks out, I'm going to hammer the marketplace, hammer it. I need testimonials, but I can't use any of the stuff I've shot before. I've got to have a new wave of testimonials going, hey, my name's Tom. I'm a member at Jim's Gym. And I'm telling you, I've been in this gym already. It's the safest gym I could ever imagine. I trust Jim to take care of me. I need 4, 5, 10 testimonials talking about cleanliness, trust. Yes, I could have gone to other places. Or, yeah, I mean, I had 2 memberships and my other gym closed. Jim's still in business. I respect that. But I tell you what, I walked in the first time. I'd have to admit it's probably cleaner than my own house. I need clients to say that. I need to push that. If you have a medical person, doctor, nurse, anybody that's a member, I'd sure love them to say that. Hey, I'm a nurse. I've been working so many hours. I'm almost ready to pass out. I went back to my gym. And you know what? This gym, it's up to my standards. This is one of the cleanest gyms I've ever seen. All that has to be launched 2 weeks out on some pretty high end. So if I spend $3,000 a month in marketing, I'm going to spend $3,000 in those 2 weeks before and just pound those into submission. So I've got my underlying cleanliness stuff still rotating. I'm still running those over and over, like $3 a day, 7 days out, or 7-day runs. Then I'm running those on Instagram for the slightly younger market, but not as nearly intensity. And then I'm coming back with social media for the testimonials and pounding that the first 2 weeks, or before we open, the 2 weeks before we open. That phase 2 is the pivot point. If they don't get ready and have this stuff done, you can't start 2 weeks out and try to put all this together. You've got probably, for most of us, a month, if not 6 weeks, to get this together. You need to be prepared. The big thing to think about is, craziest thing, what if I'm right? What if 30% of the gyms don't open and the rest of them come out trying to find their staff? They didn't prepare for the members. They lost the members. They come out stumbling. They come out crawling. They're not ready. They're trying to put campaigns together. They try to run their first marketing and they're using their old stuff. You know, what if we had all this stuff done correctly and we open phase 3? We open as the guys come out of there like it's a 100-yard dash. You know, we're coming out of here like we're going to crush this because we're ready to go. What a huge advantage if we did phase 1 and phase 2 correctly. Phase 3, this is a second wave of failures to me. So there's a term called usage rate that we talked about in the letter, and I was debating this with Mike Rondo the other day. So if I'm a mainstream gym and I have, let's say, 80% of my clients that have used the gym less than let's say, let's go 4 times a month. So I've got, in the last 90 days, they've used it less than 4 times a month, and their contracts canceled. What's the chance of that guy walking in the gym going, I'm back? So the mainstream guys, are the big box players, the chain players, are looking for these. And I hate to say this, but most of the franchise players, and this is the weakness in their system, is they're not prepping their guys strong enough for this. So I've got a little franchise gym, 8,000 feet. I've got 500 clients. But if I look at this, a lot of them are paying $39 a month. And in the last 90 days I was open before this happened, how many guys are falling, 4 times, 5 times a month? Those guys aren't going to come back. They're not going to be standing at the door. So your usage rate will determine your entry getting back into the game. So this is the shock value that's going to hit people. Is a lot of the mainstream gyms are probably going to open with 60%, maybe 30% of their clients. If they're a badly run, $10 kind of that low value gym, I'm estimating that they may have 20% of their clients left. But how many of them are planning to reopen and just like, we'll get right back into it, I get my team back together, and they're expecting 80, 90% of the clients back. So the first 90 days, phase 3, when you open, you have to assume that's the first day you opened your gym ever. So you need at least 1 month of reserve capital to cover your losses until you get into that 90th day, because for training gyms, we should be able to get at least 90% of our clients back by the end. I hope we open the phase with 90%, but by 90 days out, we should be back to at least 90% of what we were, but that's going to burn down. We really need, at that point, we're going to at least 1 month reserve capital, and I prefer 2 if we can. So you have to plan to take a hit when you reopen, because you don't want to come out and hope everybody walks in and you're like $5 away from going out of business. So I have to have prepared that second wave. So I have to come out running the first day. Then after the 2 weeks, the first day we're opening, then the next wave of videos come out, more testimonials. I hit those hard for the month. So if I'm normally spending $3,000 a month, I'm going to probably up that to $4,000 or $5,000, because I want saturation. I want people to know we're back, we're safe, that you can trust us. That word's got to be in every single video, that you can trust us, that this gym, and don't just trust my word on it. Here's all my clients talking about how clean this gym is and how much they can trust this. And so that first 30 days, when everybody else is stumbling, everybody else is looking for lost members, we've been in business 6 weeks before we even open. Right now, if you think about it, if you're closed, you're in business. We need to be prepping for that 90 days now. So they have to do the work. So those 3 phases, I think, have to happen consecutively, aggressively, and you have to be careful of the trap of opening and thinking your membership's all going to walk back in. And if we're not till July, you're going to have to fight even harder at that point. If we open in June, it'll be a blessing, but you're still going to have to come out. You're still going to need at least 1 month. That's why I'd like you to borrow that $50,000 if you can. Whatever you can, pay it back over 5 years, get it from somebody you trust, offer them a decent 7 or 8% interest rate, which is high, but offer it to them. And if we don't need it, then we just pay it back. If we need it, then you're going to have a chance to get back. And then from 90 days out, sometime within September, October, we should have the best one we've ever had in the business between, meaning as independent training gyms, between October 1st and May 1st, because the landscape is going to be about 30% less populated. If you think about the chain gyms, they have about 6% of their clients doing one-on-one. So where are they going to go? They're not going to go back to those gyms and share equipment. They're not going to do it. So phase 1, most of us need to anticipate that one-on-one training is going to be 20 to 30% of our business. There should be. I would not come back as a team-only gym. I don't see the future in it. I don't know how you're going to control that environment to that stuff that you can run the numbers through that you've had in the past. If I'm a team only, I'm gonna have to look small group. I want 2 or 3 pods in there so I can get the better clients into groups of 4, and I want the one-on-one. One-on-one, I used to say it was 20% of your business. In the next 12 months, I hope one-on-one goes up to at least 30 to 40% of your business. That client's going to want it. They don't want to share equipment. They don't want to be drugged over the gym. Those little pod systems, those 300 square foot gyms within gyms are going to be invaluable to protect that client. But most of our guys don't have a price structure. They don't like it. They too much work to do one-on-one. Well, charge a guy a lot of money and go one-on-one because it's going to save your gym.
Yeah, and they'll pay that premium for that safety and for their health, especially in that one-on-one demographic. Those tend to be the older people that have underlying or health conditions or movement issues, and it's all great stuff. Going back to the 2 weeks out, with the new opening guidelines, your capacity for clients is going to be reduced. Should that reflect in your staffing as well?
This is, again, I'm guessing along with everybody else. So the reduction of usage, they're looking at a typical 25,000 foot box with 2,500 members. So for them, they're going to put limitations. They'd have to limit that quite a bit. How many people can be in? I mean, geez, even some of the big chain like Home Depot and stuff, or grocery stores down here are putting limits. They got a guy, the grocery store is 18,000 square feet. They got a guy out front counting with a little clicker, counting people going in the store. It's insane. So the limitation is going to be in the box. We're not going to feel those limitations as much, because for us saying, okay, you can only have 30 people in the gym at the same time, it's like, cool, cool, I'm good. Yeah.
But like I have a 3,000 square foot studio. And there are times during the day where we're at capacity, but we're not going to be able to do that now with the social distancing guidelines and setting it up for pods. So we're going to have to disperse those clients over a bigger swath of time. So with that said, we probably won't need as many trainers on staff because we won't be servicing as many clients at the same time. Does that make sense?
No, let me give you a different way to think about that maybe.
Okay.
So if my prime time in the morning is 7 o'clock and that's my super load, well, I'm gonna stagger that by, so if I get a team training or a small group load across the board at 7, I'm going to then I'll do an offering at 6:30, 7, and 7:30 to break that. Instead of having the peak, I want to round it to coming more across like this. So I'm going to have to actually build in a more consistent flatline usage instead of peaks. So most of the owners have very peak hours and they're real good with that. But to flatten it, if I have a thing at 7, I can't just go 6 and 8. Because it's too far apart. If people wanted, they're just not going to be it. But if it's 6:30, they go, okay, it's a half an hour earlier, or I can go a half hour later depending on work. So if I take that and flatten my usage all through all the peaks throughout all my prime times, I can have more people in the gym, and I can control them more and segregate them more. But if you think about it, in 3,000 foot gym, I would have had probably 3 pods in there. 300 square feet, maybe 260 on the small side. So I come in at 6:30 in the morning and hey, I'm here. And hey, you're with Sarah down on pod number 1. I come down there and there's 4 people. We put our gloves on. We have our own equipment. We don't have to share it with the gym. We do our stuff from 6:30. As everybody probably knows, I advocate 50-minute sessions, not an hour. So we run our session through. The next group next to us might start at 7. Could have been another group at 6:30, could be a group coming at 7:30. So we stagger them through the day. The pods allow me to run maximum usage by dollar revenue through the gym, not maximum usage by bodies. So by flatlining this, it allows me to spread out the dollars. So back to your question, I think you're probably going to be, if not the same trainers, you might be one short. And side note on that, this is a good time to correct your mistakes. This is a real good time to look at your staff and go, yeah, good old Billy. Yeah, he's been with me 2 years, and this is a good time to get rid of good old Billy, because there's going to be a lot of trainers looking for work out there. This is a chance to reinvent yourself. This is, that's the exciting part about this. I could have had a mediocre gym for the last 2 years. I could correct my staff. I could correct my sales system. All the fundamentals of this apply. Customer service is going to be immensely important because I have to create this illusion of I've got the gloves, I've got the bathroom doors with the front door covered, I've got the counters cleared, I've got all this email and touching going on. Basic sales are going to be important. Most guys don't know how to sell. They don't know how to get back and to follow up with the lead because they just get enough clients. And that's why, they didn't have the reserves they needed on this. This stuff. So the fundamentals now, while we're closed, are going to be immensely important. When we're open, it's a chance to reset by getting rid of the people. I think, Jim, you might need not just the same amount of trainers, but if I had the budget and I had borrowed some money and planned for not just the first 90 days, but to restructure my business in the first year I'm reopened, I probably want to be a trainer overstaffed, because that gives me a chance to pick up somebody golden that's walking around the market now, gives me a chance to reload, gives me a chance to kind of reposition my gym. I'd run a little over the first 90 days to create that. Oh, and one other thing in the first 90 days while I'm throwing this out, just going in there, put a janitor on the staff. I forget what you called them a while ago, but it's a nice word for a janitor. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want them on all visible hours. I want somebody in there, hopefully a retired person, and they're in there cleaning, because how clean is the gym? I watch the guy clean it. So and I can get a retired person for just a little over, at minimum 10, 12 bucks an hour in most markets that just want to stay busy. I want them to clean the whole time the gym is open. I want them to walk out and start cleaning equipment. I want people coming in and seeing our friend out here cleaning all the equipment, and it's prepped before they go and filling, just wiping down door handles and all that type of stuff. And you got to think that through. Any of you guys, old guys out there with bubblers, water coolers, and all that, that's got to go. That's all death zone. All that should come out of your gyms now. I still see those gyms. I can't believe somebody would ever drink out of one of those again. But all that type of stuff has to be changed, and we need that janitor to keep it going.
Yeah, I agree. And then what about the because it's not clean unless they see it being cleaned. So I think that's very, very important. You can say that, hey, we clean it every hour, but unless your clients see it, your members see it, they don't believe it. The other thing is, what about the training gyms who have loaned out their equipment to clients during the shutdown for home use? When should they start bringing that equipment back in?
Well, the first two, if we know we're going to open, we can set a deadline to members to get it back. And so that's probably going to be, that probably will be that 2 week using phase 2. I want it all back in phase 2.
Okay.
And that's going to be any bands, anything like that, all that just is thrown away. The client can keep mini bands, even the cables. If I've got a lot of rubber cable out, I really don't want those back. Those are just nasty. All I want back is steel, or medicine balls, or something that can be dipped and sanitized.
Yeah.
And all that stuff should be dipped. You need a great big old fashioned metal tub. All that stuff needs to be soaked in bleach water. Should be not just rinsed off, should be soaked for 30 minutes and let it seep into all that type of stuff. And just everything you do has to be overkill. But you know what? It's another great video. It's another great, So, hey, here I'm saying all our equipment's back on loan. Guys, glad it worked out. Some of the stuff, some of the guys are already talking, the guys that are a little better prepared for this, they're letting their one-on-one clients keep whatever equipment they took just as a gift, because they don't really want to deal getting it back. And, getting some fresh steel from Perform Better pretty quickly is not a hard thing.
Yeah.
So that's, so they're really, you have to think that through, but the deadline, to answer your question directly, should be right at that 2 week window. I want it all back in the gym so I can clean it up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I find it very exciting, preparing for this, exciting for what's coming, exciting to see how exactly the landscape is going to play out. Because like you said, the large group, a lot of people will not gravitate back to those. Standing side to side next to somebody as they're flinging sweat on you, breathing heavy on you. I just can't see that going with the older demographic. Do you see any of those people gravitating towards small group or one-on-one personal training?
The team players?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the team guys, there'll be two groups of those in there. There'll be the unaware and the self-aware. And the unaware people won't care, but I still have to control the environment. Just because they're idiots doesn't mean I want to kill them or kill myself. So I've got to think of, if my limit on my floor is, it normally was 20 people, I'm probably going to knock that down to limits of 15 people. And I'm still going to then stagger my groups, make them smaller, which is more labor, but needs to be done, where I just space them out more. I really want my team guys. Can I keep them 6 feet apart? Do I need to put little tape X's on my turf now? What do I need to do to get them a distance apart? And I may have to limit the size of the groups, and I may have to, the check-ins, I can't have everybody running in at one shot checking in. You imagine 30 people showing up for a team, 15 minutes out. I mean, they are standing a foot apart. That's okay. That's their choice coming in the door, but I want to be able to create a system where if they're not comfortable with that, they can get in the gym easily and safely.
Yeah.
And so the aware, the self-aware team players are going to, it's like, you're going to have to convince me that this is not 20 people standing shoulder to shoulder, running down the floor, sweating on each other and high-fiving and sharing kettlebells and stuff. That group would be a prime group. One of the things that we didn't talk about, but I've been asked probably 50 times in the last 2 weeks, is do not lower your prices. Price is not what people are looking for when this gym reopens. Yeah, there'll be some people leaving the $10 gyms that are shocked that you charge $220 for small group and can't believe it, and they're not your clients. So price, resist the urge that I'm hurt, so I'll lower my price thinking I'm gonna get more clients. It's not about price, it's not about your training, it's about how safe your gym is. Are you offering a controlled environment? Do I trust you? So don't lower the price when we come back. Don't look at that as an advantage. That's going to be an actual disadvantage. But back to your question, the small group, the people in team that want to go up, we need to have an option. Now, the price is this. So if they want to convert, I might add a bonus month, and say, look, if you convert, you've been a member for a while, do this. I'll just extend your contract by a month, but you pay the same price. So I don't have different members, different times paying bad prices or lower prices. I want to control the image of that. But yeah, I think there's going to be, I think for the first time, I think we'll see some of those clients that want to move up. I expect to see a pretty decent percentage, 10%, maybe as high as 20% of small groups, people that want to move into one-on-one. And do that, be willing to do that for a 90-day, and then we'll revisit at the end of 90. So if they're safer for 90, but say, look, I'm going to do this now, but I may want to go back to small group because of money, certainly. Mm-hmm. Certainly, no problem with that. So be willing to be a little more flexible. Another thing in phase 3, when they get back, is if you are a gym that has been on month to month, that has been on pay as you go, things like that. If I could teach you anything, it would be to start with contracts when you come back. Start with contracts and go back into and load from that point forward. You don't want to go through this. Yes, the contracts in some places were canceled, but many of the training gyms that fought back, that really stood up, and ABC was very gracious into coming back and say, prove to us you're open, prove to us that you don't deserve to be shut down, that you're not a giant chain gym. And many of them are still open because ABC was very accommodating, as was ASF. The two biggest players actually did a pretty good job of helping people stay open. So, when you come back, 12-month contracts, start fresh, be prepared to do that. You've got 6 weeks to contract these companies, get your contract system set up, get your staff trained on the software, and start signing contracts when people come back. And no, you're not the exception. No, your town's not different. No, it's not. It's the sales system. Tom, my town's different. Nobody signs contracts. No, you're just a really, really bad salesperson. You need to fix that problem, because if they do a trial membership and they hang out with you for 15 days or 30 days, it's not the contract. It's something else you did in the process. So yeah, because if we have to go through this again next year, if something happens again, yeah, I keep you safer if you're on contracts than I can if you're month to month.
Yeah, I agree, because I think the pay-as-you-go and the month-to-month people are the ones who are really struggling through this, more so than the annual contract people, for sure.
I've only been saying that for 20 some years. it's that's of all this, that's one of the most frustrating things is I wish I would have pounded some people harder a few years ago, because there's a lot of good people that just were afraid to make that conversion. And they're the ones that get hurt the most, because there's just no structure. There's no infrastructure in your gym.
Yeah.
That how you collect the money in the contracts is the basis of your gym. That determines your success or failure over time.
Yeah.
So building a receivable base, it's a good place to start in phase 3.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Thomas, is there anything else that we missed? Because we covered a lot.
Yeah. And your time has no bearing when we're talking to each other. So final thought, there's hope. A month ago, I was talking to so many guys off the ledge that it was painful. I think I mentioned our last show that, at the end of the day, I'm just sitting there drooling, having a glass of my wine, and my wife's going, "What the hell's wrong with you?" It's just like, a lot of good people are going to lose gyms. And I've been in this long enough. I've personal relationships with a few thousand of the gym owners that become family, like you have, and your wife and people like that I've known through the years. I take it personally when people get hurt. And, but I can tell you now, after this stuff, I think the guidelines issued by the government are elementary. I don't think they're very good. It's something that you and I could have come up with a glass of wine, staggered 3 stuff. Somebody will turn that into a real document at some point and take the showmanship out of it and turn it into something we can actually live with. But June 1st, no later than July 1st, we'll be back in business. So there's hope. There's a chance. You've got plenty of time. 1, you have time. Mm-hmm. If you do the right things, you have time. 2, that 2-week pivot point is the essence of this. It sets you in motion the first 90 days. The first 90 days, if you're ready and attack, you're going to find a lot of your competitors out of business. You're going to find a lot of clients walking out of the big gyms looking for us, smaller, more intimate gyms with controlled environments that they trust again. It's going to be a good run. I have hope. I really see a huge future between now and May. And we get caught up in this nonsense. We have to look that there's stuff here. The best owners will rise, and the secondary owners, the guys that have kind of sat on the benches for a while, this is your time to rise. This is your time to reset. So, man, I'm hopeful on this, and I hope the next time we talk, we got something even lighter to talk about. But if we need to do another one of these before we open, I'm around, man. But just I'm glad you're out there helping guys. I'm glad you're out there helping people. You're doing some good work, Jim. Thank you.
Well, you're a big part of that, Tom. These podcasts have been extremely helpful, really useful, actionable information that can really help people and give them some hope and give them a path and show them a way out. Not just a way out, but a way up, through this, which I really appreciate. And I have to say that on a closing note, I really enjoy your post. The last one about wearing out a wine opener and meeting a guy behind the 7-Eleven, the trade, for toilet paper and all that good stuff. But I know you're putting together a great website called The Business of Fitness, and it's got all a complete library of everything you've ever done, which is saying a lot. It's like the Library of Congress of the fitness business. You want to tell the listeners a little bit about that?
It's something we've been working on. I've got a partner in it, a guy named Merrill that's he used to be a VP for TSI when they were doing 500 million, and he was VP for Core Health with Star Trek and all that. So he's kind of sitting up there looking for something to do. So he's gathered all the stuff that I've done, the videos. In fact, it's current. The last video we did last fall, the sales and customer service, was just posted on it. I didn't want to punish people for taking it, so it's like, I don't know, $17 a month or something. It just has all this, everything that I shoot and all this type of stuff. We'll keep adding to it. We're going to get into more social media and stuff on it. It's a pretty populated site now. There's a couple hundred of the promotions that we used to do are on there. They're being freshened up more every week. It's something. It was kind of I didn't want to kind of fade away without leaving 40 years of work somewhere where people could access it, because there's a lot of good consultants coming up, like Vince Gabriel, guys like that. They're new guys that are stepping up. Our friend Frank does, I think, a pretty good job through his group. There's people that I love and respect that are stepping up. Dan Kleckner, a lot of guys, Sean Seitz, all our friends. But my 40 years experience is maybe a little unique, and there's so much of that stuff that I wanted to kind of leave a little bit of legacy for a while. And that's what the site was really about. It's more of a legacy. Here's stuff that if it still helps you, man, it's out there, and it's just, I don't know, I hope they enjoy it.
Yeah. And the link for that will be in the show notes. Just go to trainerjim.net, click on this episode of the podcast, and the links will be right there. And then we're also going to put the link in our exclusive offers section on the website. Go to trainerjim.net, click on exclusive offers, and you might even get a little bonus for signing up through the website. So I've been talking to Merrill about that. So
one final thing, Jim.
Yep.
One final thing, if you would. Message from Chris Poyer. We talked about this last time. A lot of workshops were canceled. He's trying to reschedule most of those for August on. So as of today, we still anticipate running a fairly full NFBA slate between now and the end of the year. Chris offered last time that anybody that listens to your podcast, if they email you, you can get it to the right people, that he'll offer seats for any of the NFB events as his guest for the rest of the year. That's PB ways of just saying, hey guys, we know it's tough times out there. If you need help, we're not going to charge for education. If you need help, come, that type of thing. Chris is very gracious doing that. That cost him a lot of money to do that, but we'll make those seats available. I expect to be back in business by the fall teaching. And anybody, anywhere that wants to go to any NFBA event can come as Perform Better's guest. We know you guys are hurt. We know you need help and guidance. We're modifying the workshops to talk about how to recover, whatever state we are at that time, what business can be done, how to prepare against this in the future. If we get to do the summits this year, we're talking about doing even maybe a special hour or two somewhere within the summit to talk about how to get ready for the fall and things. Chris is just being real creative right now. But if they reach out for you, anybody, there's seats available. We'll set that up, and they can come as your guest through the show. We'd love to extend that. We're not going to withhold education because guys are hurt right now. It's there.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Chris is the owner and CEO of Perform Better, and he's a super nice guy. He works his tail off, and he puts on great workshops. If you've never been, do yourself a favor and go. And I'm telling you, you just received the offer of a lifetime. If you've never seen Tom present live or been to any of his workshops, do yourself a favor and go. And this is a perfect opportunity to go for free. So just go to trainerjim.net, and my email is on there. You can contact me, email me, and I will get you set up for the seminar. I've been to, I can't even remember how many of your workshops I've been to. It feels like all of the different modules I've been to. I've been to the business, the speaker school, the social media. I've been to the business a couple of times. And Matt, I lose track of how many times I've been to your workshops. But if you've never been, do yourself a favor and go. I've had so many guests on this show that said their business turned around. They might have been in business like 2 or 3 years before they went to a Tom Plummer workshop. And then after they went to a Tom Plummer workshop, their business was transformed for the better. I mean, you talk to Kate and Steve Lavick up in Chicago, Heather and John Mayo up in New York. I mean, I can go on and on and on about the number of guests that have been on the show that have gone to a Thomas Plummer workshop and has transformed their business. Because as Tom is fond of saying, is I can fix your business, but I can't fix you. So, and there's no better place to hear that than one of his workshops. So definitely take advantage of that. Tom, this has been great. Appreciate you taking the time, and this has been a great episode. Lots of good information.
Thanks, my friend. I always appreciate the opportunity. Good work you're doing, man. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, stay safe, and hopefully we'll get together at a social at one of your future events and catch up.
I hope so.
All right.
On good news. Take care. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Bye, Tom.